I think you can definitely expect an edge of seat thriller that sort of will keep you asking for more. Since we've been around for 20 plus years now, and we are experimenting with all the new mediums, I think it's quite telling of who we are as people and how much we are willing to explore. And if nothing at all, it sort of just exposes us as people to newer possibilities. I think you should wait for Farhan's next film to release and ask him that question. Clearly, Arjun and me are missing Rock On also, so we are trying other ways to get together.
So, hi Purab Kohli, welcome to ETimes.
Hi Imran.
How are you?
Very well. How are you doing?
I'm good. I saw the trailer. Let me start by saying that, all right, London Files is something fresh to see. And I'm digging that salt and pepper look, all right? It's something fresh for my eyes to see in you in that. All right, I saw the glimpses of it and I found something different from your personality or tonality. I can say I've seen you in before in London Files. To start with, tell me, what can we expect from this particular one?
I think you can definitely expect an edge of seat thriller that sort of will keep you asking for more. Mm-hmm. Each episode is quite hooking, and I haven't seen the show myself, but the general reaction I'm getting from people who have seen it, and in fact, a lot of journals have sort of already seen it and giving me their reviews. And it's it's sort of each episode has a strong hook that makes you want more and wants you to keep on watching. What I do know is that even the season end will make you want more. So we're hoping that more of it comes. So that's definitely something to expect. Expect some great characters. I'm hoping you enjoy the performances of all of us. Wow. And it's an interesting story. You know, it's as the name suggests, the name is London Files, so people are tending to think it's got something political going on. Mm-hmm. Well, the scenario is political in the sense where we have the backdrop of a law being passed by the government, and there's a suppressed group of people who are taking on the government and all of that. But I don't think it's really sort of the subject is really that. The subject is really the conflict that is between these two groups of people that is being exploited by certain people, and then there's a mystery of a missing girl and where she's gone and what she set out to do, and that girl being my daughter. And then when Om, the investigator, comes in to investigate this thing, he uncovers a whole lot of dark secrets that Amar has, which is my character. Right. But what lens he could go to safeguard those secrets is the crux of the show. And then and I think apart from that, there's also Om's story of what he's going through, which is a big part of his and how it's affecting his investigation and what him investigating is bringing towards his own life and his own personal issues that he's having and the depression that he's dealing with. So there's a lot to look out for, and I think people are going to enjoy a whole lot of emotions that will come out from the show.
All right, so do you agree with this that any story in London in the background, it enhances the feel of the story, be it a love story, be it a murder mystery, be it anything? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think as Indians, and I see a lot of Indians coming to London also a lot. You know, especially I live in London now myself, so I'm also an Indian who fell in love with this city many years ago, and it always makes for a great backdrop, because when we look at entertainment, we look at London. There's a certain familiarity. There's also some sense of exploration, and there's a sense of us wanting to be there and experience some of the city ourselves. And it's the start of spring right now. The weather is fantastic. It's going to only get better. So hopefully London Files will inspire a whole bunch of Indians to come here through the summer.
That's so true. One of the things is true as well, that you and Arjun are reuniting after a very long time after Rock On, right? If I have to tell you, like, through the time from Rock On till now, how have you guys evolved as an actor? What changes have you seen in each other? How have you matured as an actor? If I can ask you that.
I think since Rock On 1 was made, a lot has changed in the industry itself. You know, for starters, films are not shot on film anymore. You know, they're all digital, which is a huge shift. And then the exhibition spaces have changed. You know, when Rock On 1 released, the multiplex phenomenon was just 6 years old. Today you have the multiplex, you have all sorts of different distribution platforms on the web that have just taken the world by storm, especially just post the pandemic, when people had their only source of entertainment was these platforms. So you have a lot of content being made for these platforms now, and as you can clearly tell, both Arjun and I are exploring what we are able to do on these platforms. And with taking up work on these platforms, also one thing is great, is that you shift from the choosing the usual. You want to sort of try and do something different, because that's what people on these platforms want to see: something unusual, something different, something run of the mill, not something run of the mill, which is why some of this audience doesn't even go into theaters anymore. So it's an interesting time, and clearly I think it's telling of Arjun and me that both of us have been around for 20 years plus. Him a little longer than me, I think, or maybe not. Maybe we started our careers together.
Yeah, I think so. You guys have started the same.
Yeah, we started our careers together. Correct. We started our careers together because I had already done Hepipure before his first film, but he was a model before I did Hepipure. It's a popular model. So anyway, around the same time was when we both started our careers, and since we've been around for 20 plus years now, I think, and we are experimenting with all the new mediums. I think it's quite telling of who we are as people, and how much we are willing to explore, and how much we're willing to sort of experiment with and put ourselves out there. And if nothing at all, it sort of just exposes us as people to newer possibilities. And then we are, of course, going to transform that experience into the work we do, which is what you see finally.
Since we're talking about the platform as well, OTT has been a boon for all of us. New actors are coming and showcasing their talent. Established actors are coming on this platform and reinventing themselves. There's a lot of work happening in the industry right now. So I want to ask you this question, like, what liberties does this OTT platform gives you as an actor? And there's a wave of cinema happening in our country right now. Our cinema is united as one right now, and there's no more Hindi cinema, there's no more Tamil cinema, there's no more TV or OTT. It's just united as one. So I want to ask you this: what liberty does OTT platform gives you, and how do you feel riding this wave of cinema that's been happening in the country right now?
I don't know about liberties, but definitely it's given us a lot of employment, and not only actors. I think everybody across the board. There's so much content being produced. There's a lot more work for even journalists like you to interview and sort of keep track of all this stuff. So I think the OTT burst, or the web distribution burst that's happened over the last 4 years, is definitely contributing largely to more employment in the industry. Everyone you talk to is busy, has got some work going on.
Right.
So it's definitely contributed on that front. It's opened up a new I think it sort of tapped into lots of audience that had alienated the cinema, because I think Hindi cinema, at least I can't tell of the other regions because I don't know it so well, but Hindi cinema, I think, sort of hit a point where you're seeing the same faces, the same stories, right, in a different version being told all the time. And I think that kind of work attracts a certain large audience. There's no doubt about it. That's why it gets made, and it gets remade over and over again, right, in a different way. But at the same time, it's also alienated a large number of people who just swear by not going to the cinema. They're like, we don't want to go and see this. We don't want to go and see this. And now suddenly you have a web distribution space that's giving those people an opportunity to seek entertainment that they would like to watch. And it's giving you a whole sort of gamut of things that people can watch. So it's an interesting time, it's a real interesting time to be in this business and be out there and get work and do work and find your own space. And I think all of us are enjoying it.
Sure. But do you believe that cinemas have opened up right now? And do you believe only extraordinary content is going to drag people to cinemas right now? What's your take on this?
Well, I think, first of all, I don't think cinemas are dead. I think cinemas are eternal. For me, the big screen is eternal. You got an opportunity to sit on the big screen, especially for an Indian audience, where going to the cinema is an outing for the family. It's not just about going and seeing a movie or going and seeing something on a big screen. It's more like, oh, let's go have fun. Let's go eat that popcorn. Let's go have some drinks. Let's have a dinner outside, and let's watch a movie. It's that whole experience, which is never going to die out, because we have a large family system, and families live together. and do things together, or people want to get out of their house and do something, watching a movie is a great thing to do, that's never going to die. um, about the content shifting, yes, definitely. I think now people being exposed, especially on these OTT platforms, to newer kind of contents, they're going to expect more from theaters also. You're going to expect more from theaters, see different kind of things from theater. But the theater is always going to demand a larger than life experience. Demand a larger, to create a larger than life experience from the makers, because cinema calls for that. It calls for people to make something. That's what the term cinematic.
Right.
It be cinematic. Only then it should hit the cinema. Television and web series is a different medium altogether, and if the makers need to have clearly understood that, most of them also, that they're making something for television, or they're making something for the OTT platform, or they're making something for the cinema.
All right, let's come back to the London Files right now. Okay, since it's a murder mystery, every character has some shades of gray in it, right? Purab, I want to ask you, like, as an actor, do you have to agree with the character that you play, which has a lot of shades of gray in it, or you just solely play it as an actor, do it as your job? How do you see it? What's the process like?
I first look at story, the larger story, and I look at character and how he's linked to the central conflict. Then I look at people who are working on the project, director, producer. Do I really want to work with them? And often look at even distribution platform now. What's the medium, where are you going to put it out?
Right.
That's important also, and what they are doing in marketing and putting the show out there for you. So these are all things that you take sort of into account when you're choosing a role.
All right. But my question was, like, do you have to agree with the character that you're playing, right? If it's a dark or gray shaded character, I was asking.
Oh, do I have to agree with it? No, not necessarily. I mean, I did a show called Out of Love, and the first season, I didn't agree with the character at all. I mean, I couldn't understand him. I had a really tough. That's probably for me the toughest character I've played, because I had no sympathy for him. I just couldn't get him. And I remember sitting and talking to Tigmanshu, who was directing the first season. And I said to him, I can't find empathy for this character. I just don't know how to sort of empathize with him. And he just looked at me and said, there is no empathy. And that didn't solve it for me. That became, in a strange way, some kind of empathy for him, because he just was such a bastard. He was just such a bad guy. So, so there are times that you play parts and you don't know how to approach the character in a way that you can feel like the character. You have to sort of disconnect yourself completely from it. I played a character in a film called Avarapan when he was psychotic.
Yes, we all love doing that.
Yeah, psychotic guy, and I the only way I could sort of understand him was because he just was like a child, who wanted to have fun and dance around and sing songs, and that's what I played him as finally, and that's what made him fun for me, and that's what I connected with, brought out a child in me. So killing people and doing bad things was all secondary, but first he was just a guy having fun, with his toys. So that's how I kind of came out with him. There's another part I've played right now which is quite dark, which you'll see towards the end of the year, and that was a difficult part to do. So to answer your question, you don't always identify with your characters, and it's hard to find sympathy or empathy for all of them. But you have to sort of remember that it's not you and it's somebody else you're portraying, and try and get into their shoes somehow or the other.
But how does one switch it on and switch it off as an actor? I believe it's a very difficult job when it comes to that, right? How does one switch it off and switch it on? Like, how long does it take to get it out of it or get in back in it? Like, how do you do it?
I think it's easy to get in. It's tougher to get out.
Okay.
Especially if the character's got a lot of emotions to deal with, So to get in is quite easy. You have a script, and getting in happens very naturally because you're working towards it. You're sort of reading scripts, you're working with other actors, you're working with costume stylists and, helping you feel and look the part. You're working with director who's explaining to you all things about the part. You're working with writers. When you finish the film, a lot of that character is still embodied in you, and then you're sort of still feeling like that character would feel, and things would happen. And so you need time to consciously sort of shift out of those emotions that you felt with that character. And sometimes you're doing some really dark stuff, so you have to shake it off a bit.
Are there any rituals that you do to get it out of it? Are there any rituals, or are there any process that you
Well,
follow?
one is come back to the family, re-find yourself with them, go on a holiday,
Okay.
cleanse. You're just sort of cleansing. You're cleansing out of your system, like you've eaten bad food, or you've eaten like heavy food one night, or drunk a lot and you're hungover. So the next day, literally, it's like that. You take a massage, you go and swim, you just do sort of very pleasurable things to remember yourself and what pleasures you, and come back to that. Not that acting is such a horrid process that you have to go through all of that, but you are becoming somebody else. So you have to come back and find yourself somehow.
There's beauty in it, and it's interesting the way you're talking about
And
it.
often you want to keep some things that you've picked up from a character. There are many things.
I believe as an actor, that's the best gift that you get, to acquire some skills, and it stays with you and you apply it in your real life as well.
A couple of things that really have always sort of fascinated me about being an actor. One is, there are many emotions sometimes you go through real life and you don't express, and you don't get a chance to express for whatever reasons. When you act, especially scenes with heavy emotion, you have to draw from your own personal experiences to express that emotion. And then often it becomes cathartic, where you're sort of venting out stuff that you've sort of bottled up. So acting gives an actor the opportunity to do that. And I think the second thing is, as you mentioned, skills, emotions. Sometimes a character can be quite sort of more evolved than you are as a person. So you pick up from lines and you say, wow, this is quite profound. And because you're acting it out, you have to feel it somewhere. When you feel it, that kind of embodies into you as a person too, what the character's done, said, felt. And sometimes you retain some of that, At least I know from characters I played earlier in life. Now I'm much older and I sort of have lived life more, but when I was younger and inexperienced in life, I would use some of these characters' experiences to add on to my own personal repertoire.
Interesting. That's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. That's a good insight. Okay, if I have to ask you, this is my last question to you, all right. Is there a Rock On 3 happening? How soon are we seeing the band getting it together?
I think you should wait for Farhan's next film to release and ask him that question. He's the right person to answer.
I will do that.
He's the right person to answer it.
So there's nothing happening as of now, right?
No, nothing as of now.
Because 2 of the band members are coming right now together, so I guess there would be a discussion happening. And
clearly Arjun and me are missing Rock On also, so we are trying other ways to get together.
I just hope the band gets together and we see you guys again on screen as well.
I hope so too.
Best of luck for London Files. So good to see you. I got a lot of good insight from you. Thank you so much, Purab.
Thank you, Imran. See you, buddy.
See you. Bye-bye.